All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 12th event in the Nightlight Poetry Series. My name is Tom Snarski, and I'm delighted to be here with you tonight on this beautiful August evening to hear some poems by this esteemed group of wonderful readers. In case you haven't listened in before, Nightlight is a reading and conversation series featuring poets and writers, new and established, in a monthly reading hosted virtually, usually on the third Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. At each of our events, we feature a group of readers to share a selection of their work with us, and having slots for readers every month means we're always looking for folks who'd be interested in participating. So if you know or yourself are a poet or writer who'd be interested in sharing their work at a future event, please get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us on multiple social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Nightlight Poems with underscores after Nightlight and Poems, or just regular old Nightlight Poems with no underscores on Twitter. You can also just DM or email me directly. I'm at Tom Snarski on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, or you can just email me at tomsnarski@gmail.com. We've gotten some really lovely friends of friends, like poets who know other poets, recommending each other for the series, or people who are listening in right now. It might be like, hey, I want to do that, and we would love to hear from you. It's been amazing to get the really lovely interest that people have shared. We've got some filling up lineups for the fall readings, but we're going to keep on keeping on into 2025 and beyond, and we'd love to have you at one of these. So all that intro stuff aside, now I'm very excited to do something that I would also encourage you to do, which is sit back, relax, and listen to the brilliant work of our first reader of the evening, who's Rachel Myers. Rachel Lauren Myers is a poet from Reno, Nevada. Her work can be found in Sky Island Journal, Wild Roof Journal, Anti-Heroin Chic, and elsewhere. She's an assistant editor for Memezine and is currently working on a chapbook, which maybe we'll hear some stuff from. All right, thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I would be remiss if I didn't start by saying I really appreciate the space that you hold for poetry, for running this series, your own poetry also, and how much you post poems that you read. So thank you for having this series. Okay, let's get started. Air Swimmer's Remote Control Flying Shark. 2 days after Christmas, we stood outside and watched it swim, turn, and flap 4 feet off the ground. We remarked at its grace as it soared between us, a great white grin on either side of its snout. We were humming that song from Jaws and laughing, kids again, at ease like when we walked to the bus together, bleached our hair like Eminem, spat out "fuck you" with more vigor. When I saw this toy bobbing by the tree, I thought I had no use for it. I thought adulthood meant to roll our eyes at those things that brought no utility. I thought the gust of wind would surely not be enough to carry my shark up, up, rising above every roof on the street of my childhood home. We watched as it swam above power lines, heading east across all 5 lanes of McCarran Boulevard. The remote control was useless at such a distance. I like to imagine drivers look skyward. Somebody said, "That was beautiful." I don't think it was me. Even now, I like to picture it just like this, fins waving, pointed inland. I like to imagine us just as we were, watching as long as we could until the shark merged with the vanishing point of the city line and sky. We shaded our eyes with our hands. We laughed and headed inside after more than a moment's hesitation. We pretended, each of us, that we weren't changing, that nothing had been lost. This is not my home. This is not my home. Yellow curtains, yawning woe, listless hours march past as ants. Kids square up like their fathers in domino rows, bruised lips to match their mothers. In the ravine they squat, only place to be alone, in the piss-wet smell of sagebrush and dust. This is not your home, this farm of ragged orphan boys. House mother let you out of school, put your bodies to work, knock the hard knocks right out of you so a set of steady hands would do. If not a father, if not a mother, perhaps a callus or two. Maybe a trade skill will do. Maybe a woman like me to touch you. The kids, our kids, we screw them up, square up, like our fathers, our mothers, the ravine or the farm, all the orphans, your brothers. While we sit in the truck smoking weed, his mother calls. "Son, I have to tell you something. I'm getting married again. To Ned? You know Ned?" "Oh, don't be so dramatic. He holds my hand in public now and he doesn't care who sees. Quit going on about how he did me. He's leaving his wife by Christmas. I know we're both politicians, but I swear we're keeping it on the down low. You don't have to use that tone with me considering your divorce now, too. Come back to Vegas in December and don't give me that attitude. How about you use that new job money to pay back what you owe me? Who is that in the background? Who's coughing? Who are you with? You're on a date? And here I am going on, well, shit. Sweetie, it's so nice to meet you. We'll have to do drinks sometime. He really needs a girlfriend, so thank God. Oh, this is your first date. Well, I tell you what, honey, count yourself lucky. What my son got below the belt came from his mother's side of the family. I stabbed Enrique with a corn skewer. When he finally admitted to cheating on me with that dumb bitch Jenny while he was on Molly at a Christmas party, I didn't use a condom, he said. I'm sorry. And I moved instinctively. How absurd he looked, howling, bitch, you stabbed me! With a plastic ear of corn stuck to his bleeding chest. And his mother came and yanked it out and said, that's what you get, Kike. That's what you get. Division of assets. Night crawls out toward the west where you live. Turn your face to the sun. You can still see it. These days, I can tour our hometown on Google Maps. Our car sits where I expect it. On the screen, it's not yet rusted, not yet hauled away one day to pick and pull while I smoked, indifferent. In maps, we are still together too, not yet cruel to each other, not yet the other each to each other. Do you remember the last eclipse? We looked down at the shadows of leaves, how they prism and blossom. You were always the morning. I was barely midday, late, stumbling into night that approaches the west, where you live. Turn your face to the sun. You can still see it. This, too, is yours. All right, since you love to call it out, this one is new shit, Tom, this poem. Under fire sky. Tonight we can't see if the sun set under fire sky. They tell us not to stand outside, not to panic, not to drive, to be ready if the fire crosses the 2-mile line, to be ready or to have left already. Bless the west wind, bless the sky, bless the forest in ascent, bless the ashes on our heads. Uncontained, uncontained exponential, they said. Do not panic, do not drive, do not stand outside. This fever season, this fire season, they tell us every season is now fire season. Be ready, or maybe we should have left already. Exponential, pyrocumulonimbus, firenado. Do you know what 40,000 acres tastes like? What it smells like? What it burns like? What is hell like? It's inside us. It's all over us. Look at us, our mouths, our lungs, our hands. It's all over for us. All soot, all dust, made of this earth and made of us. The final poem I'm going to read tonight is called Sunflowers. Thank you so much. I came to this house in the spring. I brought my books, my dog, and your sunflower seeds. I was in transition and forgot until the 3 sisters rose with their formidable leaves. Arms spread wide from stalks thick as broom handles, displacing our walkway, determined, staking a claim. They must have germinated, I imagine, the same day I moved in, and I thought of you. No one tells you, though sadly I already knew the indignity of dying, the rot inside you. I held you when you were scared. One thing to know of death, quite another to whiff that stench in your nostrils, let it fester and rise slowly from your curdled insides. I planted one seed on a Thursday, defiant or maybe nostalgic. I planted your seed in the underbrush to protect it from dog piss and calamity, though I never could protect you. You said dying is a real son of a bitch. You said dump it outside, please. Oh God, it hurts so bad. And I dumped the bull by the sunflowers. You had a whole forest of them in July. In the summer, your intestines so twisted you voided your bowels from your mouth. You retched and cried, wretched, you died angry, and you died tired. By the time you passed, fall came creeping on wet, cold snap nights, and your daughter cut the heads off and put the seeds in little envelopes. And we gathered and sang Amazing Grace at your behest because, you said, I had to sing it so many fucking times. Funerals you attended, your singular voice, always the soloist, from a choir so distant, and now that song we would sing for you. And I imagine I know you had a little laugh. Your choir mates especially wept for you. You should know most everyone didn't know the words. I think you knew. You said maybe a car will hit me, but instead you went in your sister's van just shy of the state line before you knew you were dying. They told you at some hospital in Pennsylvania. You were trying to squeeze in one last moment with your 8 siblings. You went to Niagara Falls. You said, I want to go home, and you died on the side of the road, your head on the shoulder of which sister I can't remember. I planted just the one seed because I didn't want to disappoint you if it failed in such a well-established garden. I planted just the one seed because I didn't want to see a whole gathering of them and hurt for you. But now these 3 sisters grow over you, stealing your son. And dying is a real son of a bitch, a real indignity, a real hurt. And I planted just the one seed to see if I could stand it. I planted just the one seed to see if I could stand it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel, for that beautiful start that included some new shit. I'm so glad that the tone was set, and I really appreciate you leading us off. That was Rachel Myers, who you can find on Instagram at Hello Starbuck, at HELLOSTARBUCK. And not only should you keep an eye out for Rachel's forthcoming chapbook that she is working on and that we will be kind of keeping our ear to the ground for, Rachel has also asked for us to shout out Memezine, where she is the assistant editor. Memezine is a super fun, zany publication. You can find their website at memezinelit.com, MEMEZINELIT.com, and they pay per accepted piece. They pay $4.20 per accepted piece. So if you want to be not only a published poet, but a paid published poet, consider sending Rachel and her co-editors some of your work somewhere in the future. Awesome. What a beautiful note to begin on, and keeping the good times rolling. I'm really excited to welcome to the stage, proverbially Zoom stage, Bill Neumire, who's our second reader tonight. Bill's first poetry collection, Estrus, was a semi-finalist for the 42 Miles Press Award, and his second, hashtag The New Crusades, was a finalist for the Barrow Street Prize. His poems have appeared in the Harvard Review Online, Beloit Poetry Journal, Los Angeles Review, Poet Lore, and West Branch. In addition to writing, he's also served as poetry editor for the literary magazine Verdad and as a reviewer for Vallum, Scout, and the Cortland Review. Thanks so much, Bill, for being here with us. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. And I agree with all the sentiments that came before, that it's super heartwarming just to have a room with this many people and interested in listening to poems. It is a welcome distraction from my usual suburban day-to-day parenting, and the kids are in bed now, and I'm really enjoying. So I will start with a poem called Tragedy by the Sea, which is the title of a 1955 Pulitzer photo, and it is in response to that picture. In Rapture Tales, we disappear, faithful. Those days at the zoo, preschool, the alphabet, the periodic table. What are lighthouses for? Us, our anniversary, our years of leaving ourselves behind, our girls rushing into receding waves to sate a magnetic madness. We half sleep in hot dunes while gyres of plastic trash form islands beyond our sight. To pass, to decline, to rust, to open, to last, to recline, and to must, to darken. We're here with what's left of wisdom on silkscreen tees, here to see the seaplane drag a marriage proposal across the sky, to feel the sun touch its lost twin atoms within us, our archaeology. Given that a building can be wholly windows, that a species can be a billion drones with only one real queen, we can seem real for years. After all, Earth's oceans formed from several 100 million years of constant rain. And tonight, the lifeguard chair's empty, and the sand shifts. And though it's banned, one can climb them to ask, was there ever such a thing as us? Us. The end of a long montage, here to hear the pattern behind all change, while our children's shadows seed the deep, while a white-haired man with a marine tattoo brushes sand into a sculpture of his lord. We're here to wonder, is that which we've built along the shoreline, the all-you-can-eat live show every Friday rooftop party, a good idea? What does prayer feel like anymore? Breaking bands that glow like poison around our wrists, freeing us to see the night? To sing broken whale song, to fuss, to smooth into quiet discomfort, to deepen toward, to fast, to trust the choice to seep into vast design, to lust, to rouse the self into work, and hope to sharpen, to design a room for a child to grow away. And knowing we'll be bored with age one day and want to see how time played us, to take a picture. This next one is called Here's a Plan Called Happy Hour. At 4, my daughter took my phone and recorded all the leaves on our hike and spoke like a documentarian. And like all the leaves were alive and each a different species hidden in stillness. But sometimes all I want still is to inflict my body on the world, to be the opposite of a multi-level marketing scheme, to never be ashamed of even my violence, of even my objectification, which is a perpetuation strategy, which is a first step. And here's a plan called Happy Hour. Like when I was young and we were practicing being dramatic without understanding that everything is already dramatic. And we'd say, I'm so drunk right now, to get away with saying the realest thing we could. I'm just going to keep right on rolling in the spirit of the 10 minutes-ish. So this one is called Recursive Echolalia, an Elegy for Children. The owls and the oaks call the local kids who. Their forest is a cello full of questions, a hell of echoing hellos that go unheard. No likes, no LOLs, only haloed Aeolus. And oh yeah, those kids glow with newsfeed. Their mothers CEOs of the holy O. They develop little syndromes one can name and stare into twin mirrors set across the room. Oh, they think they lack a proper ache. Ha, it's all so old. The eye in its hold, the eco doom of a whole species shackled in little forests of forget. Cole still nursing the cold from a windy old timer who still speaks owl, who still remembers the news of the poor souled trees like it were yesterday, like they were Iphigenias howling to the isles in the sea. I'm not as funny as Rachel. So I guess this will be, though darker, my best attempt at some humor. This is called The Latest Science. Only the facts, we said. You could have been a man. I think I'm only a window, he said. Only the articulate wild. Fought like a man, we said. Fought like a man. I'm broke, he said. A bag of debt. A real bag of shit, we said. A day without balls. I don't even know the rules, he said. How to owe. Mortgage, car, energy, water, we said. Phone, school, insurance. Yes, he said, growing smaller. I was betrayed. Work harder, we said. Try spreading your legs. I'm sorry, he said. I have a diary full of apologies. The bank was decorated, he said, in big, bulbed Christmas lights. You could have had a bigger dick, we said. Some abs. Doesn't work make you, he said, lonely? Don't be simple, we said. Don't be dated. I'm sorry, he said. I'm just a window. Overtime, we said, will help. Blank, he said. It was just, I had an idea about the sky. There's no sky, we said. Newsfeed science just said so. Blank, he said. Blank. I will read two more if I can here. Uh, this one is based on a real news story about a passenger pigeon who they had gone extinct, and they determined they can bring back to existence. So it's called The Last Known Passenger Pigeon. Martha died in a Cincinnati zoo in 1914 at 29 years old. Efforts have begun to genetically bring the bird back. And it's a dialogue between the pigeon Martha and an interviewer. And it starts with Martha. Unbroken front of millions, our copper and slate blue world would pour its living mass into the valleys. 50 cents a dozen you sold for in the end? I'd been infertile all 29 years of my time in the small sky of weatherless days. Cheap meat, they said. My report says you were victimized by the fallacy that no amount of exploitation could endanger a creature so abundant. Pitchforks and whiskey poisoned corn. Feathered tempest, they called us as we dove for acorns and beech nuts. A plague of wings. We spread like waves of time itself, such that the tail of us knew Noah's sea, knew God before the anger. Your chromosomes can return you. Would you like to come back? I still taste the birch leaves and hilltop air, but there are skies within the sky, a before and after that you can't understand. Our return at earliest spring caused rejoicing among the poor, who were cold and hungry and could kill us in great numbers just by reaching their hands into the sky. And actually, I lied. In honor of the new shit, I will read one new one. I've been working on an erasure of an economics book, the Naked Economics textbook, which as a book is more interesting than I thought it would be. But I've been doing some erasure poems that are half an erasure of one chapter and half like a call and response. So this is new shit. It's from chapter 10. Derive God by committee. Why should there be any limit? A furnace which brings us to our final conundrum. Nothing is happening. It's a hard job. Rose petals serve the purpose. They have no intrinsic value left alone. Value derives solely from our confidence. The aura of uncertainty creates all kinds of victims, dancing on tables. We designed it that way. A reputation can become self-fulfilling. Antistrophe. You love your wife. You hold her knee and scroll old pictures of yourselves. First date at the Chinese restaurant, engagement at the show, first house under the birch tree, the full flatness of the beginning. And then the last one I'll read tonight is not a new one, but is called I Don't Believe in Ghosts. Let's say you are ready for bed in your brown rimmed glasses with your black yoga pants and your loose green sweatshirt. For you, I would shovel the driveway in the dark, the unsolvable ice under the curdled snow, and I would scrape your windshield and warm your car. I am trying so hard to explain myself. I am trying so hard to avoid words like love, as if they were long clouds ruining safe flights over America's midriff. I am trying not to put you in the usual gardens. The important thing is you were always quiet about matters like this, always willing to let certain phenomenon be observed only. I'm fond of the scar on your ass where they took that mole. There are times I put your shirts away just to feel how light you are. Thank you so much, Tom, for giving me this chance. I'm super, super excited to hear everybody else read and super grateful to have gotten the chance to hear Rachel read. So appreciate it.
What a delight, Bill. Thank you for those wonderful poems and for bringing the new shit. Like, well, I don't know. Should I say that? Yeah, I'll say it. I like that there is the motif across our first two readers of new shit and endowment. So thank you for bringing that to the table. That was really lovely. And that, again, was Bill Neumire, who you can find on Twitter at WJ Neumire, WJNEUMIRE, on Instagram at WJNEUMIRE, and at BillNeumire.com, where you can keep an ear to the ground for Bill's new chapbook, which is he's working on with those erasures from Naked Economics. But Bill's website also has all of his other books, including The New Crusades, Estrus, and others. Ah, what a beautiful start. It's always like pure possibility, pure joy, pure potential going in the first half of the reader set. And now we welcome our Keystone reader who's right in the middle of the reading. And it's always nice in this slot to bring somebody who is a little familiar with the whole rigmarole and has done this thing before and who might be reading some new shit, it says in the Zoom chat. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome back Ashley Elizabeth as our third reader. Ashley Elizabeth is a Baltimore-based poet and winner of the 2024 Garden Party Collective Chapbook Contest. Congratulations, Ashley. She's a Pushcart-nominated writer and teacher whose debut full-length, A Family Thing, is now available. Ashley is also the author of 4 chapbooks, 2 of which are out this fall. Thanks so much, Ashley, for being here. I'm so excited that you're going to read from all these wonderful books and maybe some new shit in there too. All you, take it away.
Thanks, and thank you so much for having me again. I love this space. You built such a great community, like truly. Also, thank you to everyone else that's reading tonight. I can't wait to hear the people that haven't read yet, and I loved hearing from those that did. So I'm gonna read from A Family Thing and Redline, which is the one that won the chapbook contest, and I'm gonna read one new poem because now I feel compelled to read a new poem. So I'm gonna start with A Family Thing. This is called After Round 1 with Cancer. So after round 1 with cancer, my mother made 1 pot of spaghetti a year, and half of it went to the dog on his hind legs in the kitchen. My brother and I were left hungry, touch-starved too, by a woman who has gone through more cars than she did my tennis matches. When she is sick, she is mean. When she is not sick, she works until we sleep or until she orders something from one of them shopping network TV channels, then asks, all surprised 2 weeks later, armchair size package on doorstep that I unpack and put together because she is too weak. There's the first one. A Family Thing is a lot of kind of confessional writing, more so telling my truth in verse form, I suppose. I had my place marked, then I took the pen out forgetting it was holding 2 places, so I'm so sorry. I'll just read On Holiday. Actually, I found it. Yay! On Holiday. Each Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and game day, I am reminded that my mama didn't teach me how to cook. It ain't malicious or anything, but I can taste it, swimming between the yams, greens, and mac and cheese. My mama-in-law can cook, but I guess I can ignore the gnawing across my tummy for the woman who got me to enjoy grits and gravy at age 25 and does not shame me when I ask for seconds. And the last poem I'm going to read from A Family Thing is called My Students Are Nosy. So I teach middle schoolers and they pick up on like literally everything that you do, say, wear, whatever. So this poem is kind of for them. My students are nosy. So I have rejected marriage and babies and family until now. And now my students are my kids and they ask, middle schoolers ask everything for the ring, for the relationship update, for any news after I've missed a day of work. I tell them, because I have them, I need no other child. I'm happy. But really, I don't want to end up like my mother. So the next two poems I'm going to read are from Redline, which is a book solely about teaching. Some context here. I lost two students a couple years ago, and that kind of catapulted me writing this manuscript. And so these poems are for the two students that I lost. This is Visits from a Ghost. I still see him, outside of the picture on my desk. Mistake a student's blurt for his name. His smile dances where his desk used to be. No matter how many times I rearrange my room, I see his ghost. And the smallest part of me is at peace. The bigger part still hurts. And this poem is called Even the Shoes Feel Different. So, even the shoes feel different as I squirm my feet in, lace them up, and walk across the unmowed lawn to my car. The last time I wore them, a child died, and the dusty gray and blue shoes kept the memory I want, I need to forget. The stomach in my sneaker, body doubled in prayer and preparation. Him, ashen-faced and catatonic, on the makeshift camp nurse floor. Then him, gasping, mouth searching. I keep the girls calm, lie, and say, I don't know why we are sequestered in cabins, then quiz them on their vocabulary, play a game, and instruct them to pack up. I know something they don't, and they know it. The way I keep checking my cracked phone, use the dusty walkie as a lifeline, check 11 times that it works. It worked. Silence is an answer too. So this is going to be my last piece. This is some new shit, very lighter than everything else I read. But there's no title yet because I'm still working on it, working out the kinks. So my teeth crack crab legs open as if it's the only Olympic game they'd win. And I could do that every day. The intimacy of exploring someone's innards, picking shell through the butter tender muscle, the closeness. This is how I like to get my hands dirty. This is the only mustard I eat. If you take from the water, the least you could do is finish it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for that incredibly powerful and beautiful set of poems, and for Crab Legs. Thank you for Crab Legs being here tonight as well. That was the incomparable Ashley Elizabeth, who you can find on Twitter and Instagram at AE_the poet, and on Blue Sky at AE the BLK poet .bsky.social. Ashley's incredible debut full length that you heard some from, called A Family Thing, is out now from ELJ Editions. So if you go to elj-editions.com/a-family-thing, you can find that book. And the chapbook about teaching, Redline, is available for pre-order from Garden Party Collective. So gardenpartycollective.bigcartel.com. And also keep a lookout for Ashley's another chapbook called Charmed, which is coming out in November, her love letter to Baltimore, where she lives, and where she teaches. So Ashley, thank you for your poems and for being a teacher, because it's hard as hell. It's the hardest thing I ever did in my life. So I respect and so appreciate that you brought it here this evening. Whew, like I'm riding a wave, and it's always a unique timbre in the wave or flip in the wave or something when we get to the back half of our reading order. But I'm so glad to be inviting our fourth and fifth readers coming up next. Our fourth reader is Moira Walsh, who's originally from Michigan, and Moira recently married her first spouse. Congratulations, Moira. Home is Southern Germany, so it's 9 p.m. here, and that means that it is much different time there. So we're so glad Moira could be be here, coming at us live from Southern Germany. And Moira also has two poetry chapbooks, Earthrise from Penteract Press in 2023, and with Wilfried Schubert, Do Try This at Home from Animal Heart Press in 2024. I'm really excited that we're going to be pressmates as of next year. Moira's poems are in the latest issues of Hanging Loose and Kerning, and soon in Stanford University's Mantis. Moira, thanks so much for triumphing over technology and geography to be here. I'm so excited to hear what you're going to read. All you. Oh, I think you might be muted.
Here we go. Here we go.
Got it.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I am dumbfounded to be number 4 in this incredible lineup. I've been enjoying it incredibly. Yes, I'm calling from the future. It is 3 a.m. on Friday. So anyone who's concerned that the world is going to end on Thursday, I can tell you Friday is on its way. I'm going to start dark and go light. So this is some new shit. Very new. I'm still working on it. And here we go. Hot takes on depression. Contrast injection. Reversible brain damage. Loyalty proof. PhD in patience. Bulldog of the imagination. Decision tree Bruner. Cinema sensor, compassion pressure cooker, thermometer of innermost, shadow options seller, daybreak divider, mantram motivator, ego blaster. Moving right along. This one is unpublished, but it's a little bit older than the one we just heard. Mountaineering. And I'm definitely going to just try to show you this one, even if it's in mirror image, because it works with individual letters that maybe make a word. I don't know. Mountaineering. NME town. You up, snake down. Elemental. Crag pack, fell, snack, appeal, appall, no thing at all. And the word tal, just to be nerdy, the word tal is also a trilingual joke. Not a joke, but in Hebrew it means dew, and in German it means valley. So that kind of fits in with the mountaineering. Another one, brand new, still in progress, apology to local vegetables. I enjoy food and its destruction, normally referred to as digestion. But on days like these, nothing can squeeze down my throat except after dark some good cheese and a weird combination of transportation starches. That was getting lighter. Now maybe a little darker again. I don't know. It's not linear. It's not binary. For Paul Celan, balcony. I opened your book, Paul, and saw you on the balcony, our balcony, smoking. Your eyes were ponds, your trousers a wheat field. I felt suddenly sunsick. The only chair in the house was the one opposite you, so I sat there, wobbly-kneed. You said, I love your struggle. And I cried and cried. You hadn't spoken in English or German or French or Romanian, Russian, Yiddish, or Ukrainian, but the bridge was. The words were. You loved. And it began to rain. And to thank you for sticking around. Here's the promised lightness. This one is also new shit, but it will be published shortly, so it's not quite as daring because somebody's already liked it enough to publish it. This is a form poem, and it's a minimalist sonnet. So I tried to take the rules of a English sonnet, Shakespearean sonnet, whatever you want to call it, and pare them down so that you can't take any more away. I was left with a metrical foot of an I am, or I am. So here's spring sonnet. A bit, a tad, a bit, a rib, a pole, a rib, a gog. So neat, 4 feet, a frog. A rare regret makes trouble in advance. Why grow the legs if you're afraid to dance? Thank you, dear audience and fellow poets. This is Moira Walsh from Germany at 10 to 4 in the morning on Friday. So sending you good wishes from the future.
Thank you so much, Moira, for being here from the future to send us the poem Frog, which is the most important animal, vegetable, mineral that we could have had at this stage of the evening. That was Moira Walsh, who you can find in all sorts of places. For example, at Poet by Necessity on Instagram and also on Twitter, Sundays only. Also, Moira has a link tree, so you can. I'm also a big proponent of the link tree. So if you want to see all of Moira's stuff, you can go to linktr.ee/Moira_Walsh, where you can also see all the links and you can download a PDF list of all Moira's published poems. Thank you so much again, Moira, for joining us across space and time. It was a lovely pleasure to have you and to hear that like incredibly wonderful embodied reading. I was like thinking of all the times I'd like listen to Anne-Marie Albiach on YouTube and like, I was like, I'm right there. So thank you. Thank you so much. And it's always a little tough to get to this stage of the reading, which is that we are welcoming our last reader, and also who Kerry, who is our last reader, is inviting Moira to, if you need to take a nap, we all will understand. It will be if it's necessary. But that last reader of the night, someone I'm very, very glad reached out and very, very glad to have her on to read tonight, is Kerry Trautman. Ohio born and Kerry is a founder of ToledoPoet.com and the Toledo Poetry Museum page on Facebook, which promotes Northwest Ohio poetry events. She has published 7 poetry books and a novella. Thank you so much, Kerry, for being here. I'm excited to hear you read. The floor is all yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. So I'm up in my bedroom. I don't have access. I'm on an iPad. I don't have all of my like new stuff, but I have this peer pressure raging over me to read something new. So I did find something in my sent email that this is a little chapbook so it's not new. I've been working on this weird little chapbook of these tiny little poems, but I've never read them anywhere. So it's new in the sense that I've never read them. So I'm just going to read 2 of them. They're just these little itty bitty little blocks, these little poems. The chapbook's called Days of Bees, and none of the poems are titled. Teenage me wanted only to be touched and tasted like a just-baked bread loaf awaiting slice and butter. It's the same humdrum story. If only my parents would have doused me with unabashedly gold and singing kinds of love, I might not have wasted so many years, tears, craving local honey. That's one of them. And then here's another one. If my husband died, I would let my body become a vacated farmhouse attic, full of a century's accumulations, trunks of costume jewelry and nibbled wool blankets. Spiders will web their hopes between headboard spindles, between apple crates of heat-wavered and mildewed pulp novels and high school yearbooks. Honeycomb will drip from a roof vent down to the kindling bones of a pair of mourning doves baked in their unhatched nest. Okay, so enough of those little guys. Anybody wants to publish a chapbook? Okay. So I'm going to turn to this book. This book is called To Be Nonchalantly Alive. And this poem is called Food for the Dead, for John Swale. Dressing in black for you and for those you've left, in no need of color today, I prepare to cook some food you will never eat, but just the rest of us. The taste on our tongues, you on our brains. I wonder what to feed those left behind, a dead man. What flavors should accompany our recitation of your poems, our remembrance of your laugh, your sweat, your anxious stroking of hair from your brow with voice booming sweetly. I remember the last food you made for me. A white brick of cream cheese, softened a bit from the warm car ride, plopped from its silver wrapper to an oval yellow platter, topped with a jar's worth of jalapeno jelly, wet, green as any summer. It isn't hot, you assured me. Scraping a glob with a butter knife onto a golden cracker. It's sweet, you said, chewing, and your lips wouldn't lie, would they? And someone handed me a glass of wine I hadn't asked for, and someone else read a poem, and you held a finger which meant, wait for me to swallow. I have something I must say. And you scooped me a cracker, glistening green, swirled with creamy white like jewels in snow, and I shoved it whole into my mouth, and damn if it wasn't sweet after all. Well, this book is called Unknowable Things. It's my most recent poetry collection. This is Eggs Fried by a Friend's Father. No toast, I said, not too hungry. Then what will you dip in your eggs? But I could not imagine any dipping into pale rubber curds. My plate appeared, cartoon eyeballs, oil-painted breasts, silly rounded contrasts so brazenly biological. Crisped feather edges still sizzling their minute buttery brownness surrounding milky stilled puddles with their rain-washed marigolds. He handed me a triangle of wheat. I watched him rupture his globule to glossy ooze, a droplet dripping on the way to his mouth. I grimaced, mimicked his crunch and flow. Sunrise thunder, a goldfinch flock alighting, backdropped by lightning, a gold silk ball gown washed out to sea. I tried to douse any chickeny images, babies in general, life as its whole. Allow the fatty velvet draping my tonsils and tongue to be only morning's oiled light. It would be okay. Stray. Was it cruel to have lured the stray cat these weeks closer to my fingertips, to teach him petting? It was a new thing, involuntary joy on skin terms. Fur can't help that it's reached for. When I had asked the older boy's sister for his number, she warned, he's sometimes not nice to girls. The cat cries at the door now for more than just a bowl of food. The boy was patient with me, clasping my button fly. It was a new thing, him hearing, wait. It was a new thing, me being clambered upon. Small bodies shouldn't be born knowing what love, should be born knowing what love feels like on skin terms. Nights are long with only wind smoothing haunches. Is it worth it to crouch inch forward toward the dish of a palm? If this doesn't work, he warned himself and me and unknown others, I'll go back to the way I was. Purring is involuntary, internal. Claws are internal, except when they are externalized. What rule did I break by ending it? What reward did I owe his try at patience? What continuance do fingertips owe other skin? Is heartbreak more or less humane than starvation? All right, I'm gonna go back to this book for my last poem, something a little lighter. This is called To the Pineapple. It's a summer poem. You are unwelcome in Ohio August with our farmers markets, fat melons, bellies yellowed from hot soil, raspberry quarts oozing to card tables, red plums blushed gold, unbelieving they came from nearby yards. Who should be so lucky? Whose backyard were you hacked from? Some kid's machete whacking your stalk, hefting the angry wad of you inside to lose half yourself to the cutting board? Our pears shape themselves to fit palms, eaten whole on the drive home, dripping sweaty t-shirts. Fruits here are compliant wives yielding themselves to touch. Red Haven peach skin, smooth wine saps, cherries near bursting like water balloons, blackberries juicing fingertips and thighs squeezed between rows. You make a chore of yourself. Leaf blades slit like paper cuts, spiked welted skin, touch of mold always in the nook of your bottom, inedible fibrous spine, brown bristle eyes embedded in what's good of you. Why would you come here in August when Ohio fields orgasm into baskets? Come back maybe in December for a salad with pomegranate pips and crisp plasticky star fruit when we have nothing real of our own. That's for me. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for bringing it home with the pineapple and the question, why would you come here in August? Which I feel like is a very applicable question to lots of places. That was Kerry Trautman taking us home. And Kerry, you can find on Twitter at Ohio, or sorry, Twitter and Instagram at Ohio Kerry, OHIOKERRY, and on Facebook at Kerry Jensen Trautman. Links to Kerry's books and social media live also on a link tree, so a linktr.ee/Ohio Kerry. Check out those collections that Kerry read from and the few others and the novella that Kerry has published. Well, it is only 10:03 here. I'm still in the past, but we have reached the end of our reading order. It has been such a delight to hear from all of you. And I just want to close by saying thank you so much to all of our readers for sharing their beautiful work with us this evening. And thank you too to our listeners, whether you're here in the call with us or watching this on YouTube. Thank you for giving this hour or so of your life over to poetry. We hope that if you are listening with a sheaf of new shit close at hand, you might consider dropping us a line. Again, we're at Nightlight Poems on Twitter with no underscores, at night_light_poems_ on Instagram, or just like find me at Tom Snarsky somewhere. Email me at tomsnarsky@gmail.com. We would love to have you at a future event. The lineups are starting to fill up for the fall readings, but we do have them every month, and we're definitely making plans to do them through December and into 2025, etc. Lots of excitement on the horizon, including the one thing that I will do. We always close these with a poem. So I've been really reading a lot of Yusuf Komunyakaa lately. So I'm going to close us by reading a poem of his called A Translation of Silk. One can shove his face against silk and breathe in centuries of perfume on the edge of a war-torn morning where men fell so hard for iron they could taste it. Now, today, a breeze disturbs a leafy pagoda printed on slow cloth. A creek begins to move. His brain trails, lagging behind his fingers to learn suggestion is more than radiance shaped to the memory of hands, that one of the smallest creatures knows how to be an impressive god. A flounce of light is the only praise it ever receives. I need to trust this old way of teaching a man to cry, and I want to believe in what's left of the mulberry leaves. Humans crave immortality, but oh, yes, to think worms wove this as a way to stay alive in our world.